The question I have is, why are we violating the law to include any question whatsoever in the 2020 census?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez generated some chaos during a House Oversight Committee hearing during her questioning of Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross. Now, this was a discussion around the 2020 census and a question that the Trump administration wants to put on the 2020 census. So let me first read this tweet from writer Ari Berman to give you a better idea of what this clip is going to be about. So he tweets out, per AOC's point, GOP wants to add census citizenship question to radically change how districts are drawn, excluding non-citizens from representation, even though districts have long counted total population. That would be massive power shift to whiter and more Republican areas. So the clip that you're about to see here from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez concerns the legality of putting that question on the 2020 census.
It's been stated multiple times in this hearing that the question is a reinstatement of a previous question. But the last time a citizenship question specifically around citizenship was discussed on the census was in 1950. And I pulled up the old question here. And I know it's tough to see from far away, but I pulled up the old question that was originally on the census in 1950. And I see here that the question that is being proposed for 2020 is quite materially different. So it is not a reinstatement. It is not to placing again or a restoration of the original question. It is a materially different question. Now, the U.S. Census Act of 1974 requires that if the Secretary finds such a change necessary, they must send a report to Congress on the proposed change when the question is proposed, not when it is decided upon. Was that legally required report to Congress submitted to us?
I can't respond to your question about the two documents you held up unless you show them to me. I don't have them.
I did not ask a question about the documents. I asked if the report that is required of you was submitted to Congress.
We filed the required report on March 31st, 2017. We filed another required report on March 31st, 2018.
One last thing. So what we don't have is the required report to Congress. And while there's all of this debate about whether a citizenship question should be included or not included, the question I have is, why are we violating the law to include any question whatsoever in the 2020 census?
I believe she's out of time, Chairman.
But you, please do answer the question.
I don't have any need to respond, sir.
You don't have a need to respond?
I have no need to respond.
All right, there's a second half of that, but I have to pause it there because this is like Wilbur Ross is essentially trying to play the old man card. Oh, what's going on? I don't understand. Oh, no, I don't have a need to respond to this question. What? Why don't you have a need to respond to the question? Why are you here in a committee hearing? You were here to answer the questions. So you don't have a need to respond. Yeah, the need to respond is the fact that you are here and you have to respond to these questions. So look, I'm not sure if AOC wasn't on this committee hearing, I'm not sure if anybody else would have caught this, but she did catch this. Her and her office caught this. And this is why it's so important to have people like this that actually are fighters, are going to look into the details and ensure that this is how you stop fascists, far right wingers from essentially raping and pillaging the land, because you have to go through these sorts of legal means to be able to actually stop them, because oftentimes they will try to get around the law like this and hope that nobody catches them, but they were caught. Now, before I go to the second half of this clip, I want to just read this tweet from AOC. This whole line of questioning yesterday was about how Chris Kobach, who's funded by white supremacists, was deeply engaged with Secretary Ross to add a drafted citizenship question to the census. Ross's excuse was voting rights, but his story doesn't add up, and he skirted the law to add the question. Now, let me play the second half of this clip here where all hell breaks loose.
I have no need to respond.
Okay, well, I'm asking. Could you answer that question, please?
Would you repeat the question, please?
We are now in violation of the U.S. Census Act of 1974, which requires you to submit a specific report to Congress ahead of any changes that you find necessary. This question is not a reinstatement of the 1950 question. It's a change, which means that change requires you to send a report to us while the question is proposed, not before it is decided or settled. So my question is, why are we violating the law to include this question in the 2026?
Point of order. We need to, at this particular point, the gentlewoman is talking about a statute that's been violated. There's been no enunciation of what that statute is. I don't even know what she's talking about.
I'd be happy to provide it.
I think she laid it out pretty nicely. She said it twice. I'm serious. Give him.
But in previous testimony, Mr. Chairman, he said that they've submitted reports and
there are 3 reports required. They submitted the first one and the second one, but not the third one that is required to Congress. And this is here in U.S. Code 13 U.S. Code section 141, population and other census information, subsection F3. And I'd be happy to provide that to you.
Now, I noticed that all your I guess those are attorneys back there squirming around telling you stuff. Can you tell, maybe they can help us with this answer. Did they tell you what the answer is to that? Got a lot of people back there.
I've been told by counsel that we have complied with all the regulations. I will take up with counsel the suggestions that have been made by the congressperson, and we will get back in due course on the record.
As a follow-up on that question, can you give me that in writing, the fact that you complied with the law?
And, Mr. Chair, I'd also like to note that according to our committee staff, there is not compliance with F3.
Well, he's going to give me, he said he did, so he's going to give me a statement. He's still sworn. He's going to give me a statement saying he did. So I'm looking forward to that statement.
Thank you.
Counsel. All right?
All right. This is just a total and complete takedown. Now, look, so you have Mark Meadows trying to jump in and try and save the day here because I think he realizes what happened. And he doesn't want Wilbur Ross to lie to Congress here, but he is. And good on Elijah Cummings there to ask for Wilbur Ross saying that he gave everything he needed to in writing. Because then you can show, hey, this motherfucker lied. He said he gave us everything he legally was supposed to, but he did not. Now, let me go just down some of the more some other details here from Mother Jones on this. One of the senior administration officials who lobbied Ross to add the question was former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon. In July 2017, Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, at the time the vice chair of President Donald Trump's now defunct Election Integrity Commission, wrote to Ross, quote, at the direction of Steve Bannon, and said it was essential that the citizenship question be added to the census. Kobach wrote that the absence of a citizenship question leads to the problem that aliens who do not actually reside in the U.S. are still counted for congressional apportionment purposes. Kobach's correspondence with Ross contradicted the Trump administration's stated rationale for the question. Kobach never mentioned the Voting Rights Act in his letter and suggested the question was added to reduce the political clout of areas with many immigrants and boost Republicans. The Justice Department said in court that Kobach, Bannon, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who have all advocated aggressive crackdowns on immigration, were among those involved in pushing for the citizenship question. Now, this shows you honestly how weak the Democrats have been up to this point. Before AOC and the other freshmen were on here, there was nobody looking at the details like this. Now you have people within the walls of Washington, within D.C., actually combing through, okay, are they breaking the law here? Have they provided everything they're supposed to provide? And because they did not, they legally cannot put this question on there, a question that would have an impact on people who are immigrants. So, again, this just shows you the importance of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, let me share this tweet that she put out after this. We made serious cracks in the citizenship question case, which seriously threatens the census. You know, the questioning is good when the GOP tries to challenge you into stopping, are unsuccessful, and an army of lawyers starts freaking out. Chair Cummings saved the day. Now, here are some reactions from around the web about this. So, Crooks and Liars put out, AOC demolishes Wilbur Ross. Mark Meadows freaks out. AOC is one of the most skilled members of Congress when it comes to questioning witnesses, as this clip shows. This from Common Dreams. Ocasio-Cortez demands to know why Wilbur Ross is violating the law to include citizenship question on census. Wilbur Ross engineered the citizenship question with notorious white supremacists Steve Bannon and Chris Kobach and has been caught red-handed in a web of nefarious lies, said one immigrant rights group. And this from the Mary Sue. This is exactly why Republicans are so afraid of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So, again, this just shows you have somebody now in Congress looking out for the people.